Carlos Ramirez straightened his tie, taking a moment to study the weary reflection staring back at him in the elevator mirror. The shadows beneath his eyes told the story of countless sleepless nights spent caring for his ailing mother, Leticia, as he juggled the delicate balance of administering her medications and tackling the backlog of emails from work. By the age of 35, her existence had transformed into a carefully orchestrated sequence of events, rising at 5, crafting breakfast and organizing her mother's medications, leaving thorough guidelines for the day's caregiver, and diving into a relentless stream of corporate meetings until dusk. The polished glass and steel lobby of the corporate edifice resonated with the rhythm of his deliberate footsteps as he made his way to the exit. In his role as the executive director of a prominent construction firm in the city, Carlos had reached a level of professional success that many admired. Yet, beneath the surface, a profound loneliness clung to him, an unseen weight that he carried with quiet resolve. The walls of his office on the top floor stood as silent witnesses to the nightly calls made to doctors and the urgent inquiries regarding Leticia's condition. The disparity between his professional life and the truth that greeted him upon returning home was staggering. As his peers indulged in vacation plans and toasted to promotions at upscale eateries, he immersed himself in memorizing medication names and treatment schedules. His mother's illness had drained not just his finances, but also any hope for a personal life. On that October afternoon, while he made his way to his car in the underground parking lot, a sharp scream cut through the air. Carlos halted, perplexed by the reverberation that danced among the concrete pillars. The noise emerged from the exit ramp, where the dimming twilight scarcely lit the lurking shadows. As he drew nearer, he discerned two tiny silhouettes nestled against a column. Two children stood before us, identical in every way, even in the tattered rags that adorned their small frames, no older than 8 years. Their soiled faces failed to conceal the terror reflected in their eyes as Carlos drew near, clad in his pristine dark suit. "Is everything all right with you?" he inquired, lowering himself to her level. The twins exchanged glances, a wordless dialogue passing between them, a bond that only siblings share. The individual nearest to Carlos, sporting a fresh scratch on his cheek, was the first to break the silence. "We're starving," he murmured, as his brother gave a barely noticeable nod. Carlos attentively watched the children. The tattered and soiled garments, frayed footwear, and that despondent expression that no child ought to bear stirred an ache deep within him. In her gaze, he recognized the same fragility that greeted him each morning in his mother's eyes. The urgent call for assistance. Carlos took a moment to reflect, carefully evaluating the circumstances at hand. The most reasonable choice would have been to reach out to social services, yet the look in the children's eyes, a blend of fear and fragility, touched him profoundly. With a sense of careful deliberation, he resolved to first escort them to a secure location before assessing the subsequent actions to take. "Join me," he murmured gently, reaching out with both hands toward them. "We'll find you something to eat." The twins shared a glance, evaluating the circumstances with an insight that belied their age. At last, the one who had spoken advanced a step, closely trailed by his brother, as though an unseen bond tethered them. As he led them to his car, Carlos remained blissfully unaware that this unexpected meeting in a dimly lit parking lot was on the brink of changing the trajectory of several lives, his own included. The sound of their footsteps, intertwined with the cautious steps of the children, reverberated against the concrete, serving as a prelude to the fate that was starting to take shape in the shadows of that October afternoon. Carlos's sleek black Mercedes came to a halt in front of a beautifully restored colonial house nestled in one of the city's most tranquil neighborhoods. The twins, seated in the back, gazed in wonder at the facade aglow with the light of vintage lanterns. Throughout the journey, Carlos successfully encouraged Miguel and Gabriel to introduce themselves, yet he remained uncertain about their identities. "Please hold on for a moment," Carlos gestured, stepping out of the car. He had to get his mother ready for the surprise visits. Leticia, in spite of her illness, exhibited remarkable clarity of thought. Nonetheless, his latest appointments with the physician, along with a trial therapy, had started to reveal indications of progress. Though delicate, his vitality appeared revitalized, partly energized by the company of the twins. As he stepped inside, he noticed the night shift nurse collecting her belongings. Mrs. Letitia enjoyed her day, he conveyed as he took his leave. He even finished every bite of his dinner. Carlos discovered his mother in the main living room, lounging in her beloved chair by the window. Even with the pallor of his complexion, his eyes still held that distinctive gleam that had consistently been his most remarkable trait. "Mom," Carlos started, settling beside her, "I have something to share." Just as he was about to go on, a muffled thump from the car drew his focus. As he gazed out the window, he noticed the twins had exited the vehicle and were now observing the garden with keen interest. "Who are those children, son?" Letitia inquired, propping herself up a bit. Carlos inhaled deeply. "I discovered them in the company parking lot. They find themselves in solitude, grappling with hunger. I couldn't just leave them there." To his surprise, Letitia's face brightened with a smile. "Bring them inside," he commanded with unwavering certainty. "They must be freezing." Moments later, the twins found themselves in the kitchen, seated before steaming bowls of soup and freshly warmed bread. They consumed their meal with an intriguing blend of eagerness and timidity, as Letitia observed from her seat, strategically positioned by the kitchen entrance at Carlos's behest. "They are identical," Letitia murmured with fascination, "like two drops of water." Gabriel, or maybe it was Miguel, glanced up from his plate. "Our mom said the same thing," he remarked softly, before refocusing on his meal. Their family was brought up for the first time, prompting Carlos to share a significant glance with his mother. Numerous inquiries lingered in the air, yet they both understood that this moment was not meant for such discussions. "They can stay tonight," Letitia declared, her voice carrying the weight of finality that Carlos recognized all too well, the kind that allowed for no dissent. "The guest room is tidy, and I believe we still have some of your old clothes, son." As the children wrapped up their meal, Carlos observed his mother appearing more joyful than she had in weeks, directing the arrangement of fresh sheets and pajamas. The arrival of the twins infused the house with a fresh vitality, as though they had stirred something that had long lain in slumber. Once he ensured the twins were settled in the guest room, Carlos sank onto the living room couch. The hour hand crept close to 10, and weariness was starting to weigh heavily on him. He switched on the television, reducing the volume to avoid disturbing anyone, seeking a brief escape before drifting off to sleep. The evening broadcast was drawing to a close, and the anchor was delivering an update on a case that had left the city reeling months earlier. Carlos was on the verge of changing the channel when the image on the screen captivated him completely. Two faces mirrored those of the children resting above. "The quest for the Morales brothers persists," the reporter declared. 3 weeks have passed since the twins vanished from the hospital, where their mother, Amanda Morales, lies in a coma following the tragic accident that took her husband's life. The remote control fell from Carlos's grasp. The photographs captured the aftermath of the accident, revealing a car utterly wrecked on a secluded country road. The narrator's voice persisted. The authorities believe that the young individuals, feeling frightened and disoriented, fled from the foster care provided by social services. Carlos pressed his hands against his temples, grappling with the influx of information. The children were more than just street children. They found themselves without a father, their mother lying in a coma, escaping a system that remained beyond their grasp. "I'm sure you were already aware of that, correct?" Letitia's gentle voice caught him off guard. His mother had quietly made her way into the room, supported by her walker. "What item?" There was undoubtedly a deeper layer to his narrative. Those children carry a depth of sorrow in their eyes that transcends mere poverty. Carlos inclined his head with deliberation. "Your mother is still with us, Mom. He lies in a coma in a hospital somewhere in the city." Letitia positioned herself beside her son, grappling with a discomfort that ached within her, yet she was determined to conceal it. "Well, it seems we have a plan in mind." "It's not that simple," Carlos began, but his mother cut him off with a wave of her hand. It's precisely that straightforward, my boy. Their mother longs to be with her children, and the children yearn for their mother. At times, affection serves as the ultimate remedy. Carlos gazed at his mother, recalling the countless nights he had sat by her hospital bed, the moments when her mere presence had proven more powerful than any medicine. I recognized he was correct. Tomorrow, I will discover which hospital he has chosen. He has finally made a decision. However, my initial step is to have a conversation with the children. Please have faith in me and share the complete truth. Letitia beamed, a radiant expression that had consistently brightened even Carlos' bleakest moments. He gave his word that they would follow through. They've begun the process. Are you not aware? Out of everyone in that parking lot, they selected you. The broadcast had transitioned to a different segment, yet Carlos found himself disengaged from the display. His thoughts were occupied with strategizing for the following day, contemplating the best way to engage the twins and earn their full confidence. On the upper floor, Miguel and Gabriel lay in slumber, oblivious to the fact that their fate was on the brink of an unforeseen twist. The following morning, Carlos discovered the twins in the kitchen, enjoying breakfast alongside Letitia. Their mother, brimming with energy for the first time in weeks, shared tales from Carlos's childhood, drawing out soft yet sincere laughter from her children. Miguel, Gabriel, and Carlos were called, seated before them. It's time for a conversation. The children shared looks, and the happiness that had brightened their faces quickly vanished. Will you be turning us in? One of them, likely Miguel, inquired with a quivering tone. Carlos replied with conviction, no. However, I caught the news last night, feeling envious of his mother, Amanda. The ensuing silence was thick, oppressive. Gabriel gazed into his bowl of cereal, as Miguel tightened his fists beneath the table. Gabriel whispered that social services had barred us from seeing her. They suggested it would be wiser to hold off, claiming we would become quite distressed. Miguel went on, they separated us. We were assigned to separate houses. We simply couldn't bear to be apart. Letitia reached out her hand across the table, accepting it from Gabriel. No one will come between them here, he assured with that gentle yet resolute tone that Carlos recognized so well. Would you like to visit your mother? Carlos inquired straightforwardly. Both children lifted their heads, their eyes glistening with unshed tears. Is it possible? The hope in Miguel's voice felt almost palpable. Carlos gave a slight nod. I discovered that he is at the Central Hospital. This afternoon works for me, once I handle a few things at the office. What about the police? Gabriel commenced. I've got it all under control, Carlos interjected. All I'm asking is for you to have faith in me. Is that something they can accomplish? The twins exchanged a lingering glance, their eyes speaking volumes in a wordless dialogue that only they understood. At last, they both agreed with a nod. Carlos smiled, feeling pleased. It's time to wrap up your breakfast. Next, we'll head out to get them some fresh outfits. As the children resumed their cereal, now filled with fresh enthusiasm, Carlos sensed his mother's hand resting on his arm. As he gazed at her, he perceived in her eyes that nurturing pride that had consistently been her most cherished achievement. I need the nurse to remain by your side a bit longer today, Mom, he murmured. I'm fine, Letitia replied. Take the necessary steps to achieve your goals. Their mother is essential to those children, just as they are to her. Carlos dedicated the morning to making calls from his office, deftly maneuvering through connections, ensuring that his visit to the hospital faced no hurdles. As a prominent figure in the city, his network unlocked opportunities that would typically stay out of reach. As the afternoon sun cast its warm glow, Carlos navigated the road to the hospital, the twins nestled in the back seat, their new clothes crisp and their faces freshly scrubbed. A quiet prayer lingered on his lips, a hope that this choice would prove to be the right one. In the rearview mirror, he caught a glimpse of the blend of anxiety and hope reflected on their identical faces, and he understood that, no matter the outcome, he couldn't have taken any other route. The stillness of the hospital corridor was punctuated solely by the gentle beeping of monitors and the faint chatter of nurses in the distance. Carlos paused, placing a hand on each twin's shoulder as they stood before room 307. Through the small window in the door, they observed the still form of Amanda Morales, connected to multiple monitors. "Are you prepared?" Carlos murmured. The children nodded in unison, yet he sensed the faint quiver in their shoulders. Dr. Garcia, having consented to the visit following Carlos's persistence, stood by the bed awaiting their arrival. "Feel free to step a bit nearer," he suggested gently. "Have a conversation with her. Individuals in a coma may frequently perceive sounds around them." Miguel took the lead, quickly joined by Gabriel. With careful strides, they neared the bed, as though any abrupt action could shatter the tranquility of the scene. "Mom!" Miguel whispered, his voice almost a breath. "It's us. Your absence is felt," added Gabriel, gently grasping his mother's hand. Carlos stood at the threshold, breath caught in his chest. Amanda lay motionless, her tranquil visage surrounded by a network of wires and tubes. He observed that she was a young woman, and even in her condition, the likeness to her children was evident in her features. "Do you recall the times you would serenade us before we drifted off to sleep?" Miguel pressed on, his voice growing more assured. "The song about the small boat?" And then, to the astonishment of all, they started to sing gently. Their innocent voices merging into a gentle and delightful tune. It was a classic lullaby, a melody woven through the fabric of time, cherished and shared across generations. Miguel and Gabriel sang on, their voices quivering, as they reminisced about joyful times spent with their mother. As their voices resonated throughout the space, Amanda's fingers, held gently by Gabriel, twitched ever so slightly. A shift in the rhythm of the heart monitor was evident, subtle yet unmistakable. Dr. Garcia observed intently, noting every response, conscious that this marked merely the start of a lengthy journey toward healing. Dr. Garcia hurried over, assessing the vital signs with keen attention. "Go on," he urged the children, "keep conversing with her." "Mom, Carlos has looked after us," Gabriel said, softly holding his mother's hand. "He and his mother Letitia provided us with a warm place to rest and delicious meals, even getting us new clothes," Miguel remarked, adjusting his fresh shirt, "but we miss you dearly." The heart monitor persisted in displaying fluctuations. Amanda's eyelids fluttered, and a gentle, barely audible whisper slipped from her lips. "He's responding," the doctor declared, promptly summoning a nurse. "This is extraordinary," Carlos said as he approached the twins, his hands resting protectively on their shoulders. The children quivered, not out of fear this time, but from a bubbling excitement held tightly within. "Miguel, Gabriel," the murmur was faint, fragmented, yet undeniably clear. Tears streamed down the twins' faces, while the room buzzed with the presence of medical personnel. Dr. Garcia, beaming with enthusiasm, informed them that they needed to wait outside while the essential evaluations were conducted. In the hallway, Carlos embraced the children who were quietly weeping against him. From the vantage point of the bedroom window, he observed the hurried actions of the medical team, yet what truly resonated within him was the extraordinary event he had just experienced, the profound love of two children, reviving their mother in a moment of sheer wonder. The following days unfolded into a meticulously crafted sequence of events. Carlos adjusted his work commitments to ensure he could accompany the twins to the hospital each afternoon. Amanda's growth, though gradual, was unwavering, and every little advancement was acknowledged as a triumph. "How's your mom?" Amanda inquired one afternoon, her voice still faint, yet growing more distinct. The twins frolicked in the hallway, watched over by a nurse, granting Carlos and Amanda a rare opportunity for a private chat. "Stable?" Carlos replied, taken aback by the inquiry. "The little ones have infused him with a fresh vitality. Caring for them seems to have provided him with a renewed sense of purpose." Amanda attempted to prop herself up slightly, and Carlos quickly moved to reposition his pillows. "I can't express my gratitude enough," she whispered. "Not just for looking after my children, but for bringing them to this place. The doctors claim that his presence was the catalyst for my awakening." "You have nothing to be thankful for," Carlos replied, recalling the isolation reflected in the twins' eyes that evening in the parking lot. "They have also provided us with assistance." From the bedroom window, they observed Miguel and Gabriel, their laughter ringing out as they engaged in a board game with another patient girl. Observing them in this moment, acting just like typical kids their age, rendered all the hard work worthwhile. "Carlos," Amanda's tone shifted to one of gravity. "What will occur upon my discharge? Social services?" "Let's not focus on that at the moment," he interjected gently. "I have skilled legal professionals handling the matter. The twins will not return to the system, I assure you." Tears shimmered in Amanda's eyes. "What motivates you to undertake all of this? You were unaware of us, and there was no duty on your part." Carlos paused, his gaze fixed on the children playing outside the window. "Are you aware? Each morning upon arriving at the office, I observe individuals making choices driven by figures and financial gains. Yet, in the parking lot that night, the choice transcended mere figures. It was centered on making the correct choice." The door swung open, and in dashed the twins, breaking the flow of the conversation. "Mother! Mother!" cried Gabriel. "The woman with the game cart provided us with a fresh puzzle. And he mentions we can wrap it up here with you," Miguel continued, displaying the vibrant box. Amanda beamed, her smile blossoming more with each passing day. "Carlos will accompany us," she inquired, her gaze fixed on him, filled with a blend of appreciation and an unspoken tension that lingered between them, unnamed and yet palpable. "Certainly," he responded, drawing the chairs nearer to the bed. "I must caution you that puzzles are not my strong suit." As the four of them concentrated on the fragments strewn across the hospital table, Carlos found himself reflecting on how life, at times, resembled a puzzle, disparate pieces that, against all odds, managed to align seamlessly. Dr. Garcia examined the latest results, a pleased smile gracing his face. Following 3 weeks of rigorous therapy, Amanda had advanced beyond all medical predictions. "It seems your body has been poised for the perfect moment to awaken," the doctor remarked, assessing Amanda's reflexes. "The extent of neurological response is remarkable, given the duration of your coma." Amanda, now capable of sitting up independently, directed her attention to the window, where she spotted Carlos strolling through the hospital garden with the twins. "I returned for a compelling reason," he replied gently. The physical therapy session that afternoon proved to be especially demanding. With the guidance of 2 therapists, Amanda embarked on her first steps since the accident. His legs shook from the strain, yet his resolve remained steadfast. "See, Mom, he's taking his first steps." Miguel's enthusiastic shout resonated throughout the therapy room. The twins arrived alongside Carlos, perfectly timed to witness the moment unfold. "You're doing an excellent job, Mom," Gabriel urged, as both children observed from the doorway, gently held back by Carlos to avoid disrupting the activity. Sweat glistened on Amanda's forehead, yet her eyes sparkled with resolve. With determination, he ascended the parallel bars, each movement a testament to his resilience against the challenges that had been forecasted by the doctors. "I must reach them," Amanda breathed, her eyes locked on her children. The therapists shared a concerned glance, yet Dr. Garcia, observing from the sidelines, offered a nod of approval. With utmost precision, they led Amanda the final few steps to where the twins awaited her arrival. Carlos observed with a profound sense of sorrow as Amanda struggled to kneel, assisted by the therapists, to embrace her children. The 3 came together in a hug that appeared to hold all the anxieties, aspirations, and affection built up over the months apart. "My courageous little ones," Amanda murmured, her voice trembling with emotion. "We accomplished it. In the stillness of the hospital room, as the twins dozed in their chairs beside Amanda's bed, Carlos savored a moment of connection over coffee with her. Dr. Garcia mentioned that I should be able to return home in a week, Amanda remarked, her tone a blend of optimism and worry, but I'll still require outpatient therapy. Carlos nodded, recalling the discussion he had earlier that day with his lawyers. All is set in place. My home offers ample space, and Leticia will surely appreciate having more company as you complete your recovery. Carlos, Amanda began to object, but he lifted a hand to silence her. It's not a burden, Amanda. It's the essence of family life. The term family lingered in the air, heavy with significance. Amanda gazed at her slumbering children before turning her attention to Carlos, a gentle smile blossoming on her face. Are you aware? Before the accident, I always believed I had the strength to handle everything on my own, she admitted. I have come to realize that genuine strength lies in recognizing the moments when we should seek assistance. Carlos's home blossomed with the presence of Amanda. The guest room, transformed for their recovery, turned into a lively area where the twins dedicated their afternoons to homework under their mother's watchful eye, as she pursued her rehabilitation exercises. Leticia, in particular, appeared to revitalize in the company of Amanda. The two women swiftly forged a unique bond, engaging in deep conversations in the garden as they observed the children at play. I've never seen Carlos so at peace, Leticia remarked one afternoon, as Amanda assisted her in getting comfortable in her favorite chair. He has always been a devoted son, but ever since you came into his life, there's a new spark in his gaze. Amanda felt a warm flush creep across her cheeks as she carefully arranged the blanket over Leticia's legs. They have given us an immense amount. At times, I find myself contemplating how I might repay all that they have done for us. Love requires no payment, my dear, Leticia replied, gently grasping Amanda's hand. Despite her voice faltering as a sudden cough overtook her, Amanda swiftly reached for Leticia's glass of water and medications. While assisting her, he observed the lines of concern etched on the older woman's face, reminiscent of those he had recently noticed on Carlos. For how long have you been unwell? Amanda inquired gently. Once Leticia regained her strength. It's overwhelming, Leticia sighed. The doctors have attempted various treatments, yet, he trailed off, his eyes wandering to the garden where the twins frolicked. Amanda gazed at the woman who had stepped into the role of a second mother for her children, the one who had embraced them without a moment's doubt when they were in their greatest time of need. A resolution crystallized within him. Leticia, he said resolutely, would you permit me to talk to your doctors? Perhaps we could explore alternative opinions or treatments. The finest experts have already examined it, Carlos interjected, having quietly stepped into the garden. The issue isn't identifying the appropriate treatment, but the expense, Amanda interjected, a sudden clarity dawning on her. The hospital bills, the specialty medications, the nurses, each element contributed to the mounting expenses of sustaining the company. No need to fret over that, Leticia remarked, attempting to offer a smile. I have experienced a fulfilling life. Amanda replied with conviction, no. You stood by us when we needed you the most. We will continue to stand by you in this moment. Carlos gazed at Amanda, his expression a blend of astonishment and respect. In her gaze, she recognized the unwavering resolve that had aided her healing, the same power that had driven her to persevere for her children. There has to be a solution, Amanda asserted, her thoughts racing with potential avenues, and we will uncover it together. As Amanda sorted through the documents retrieved by Carlos's lawyers from his previous residence, she stumbled upon the envelope. A wrinkled paper from the insurance firm, marked with a date just 2 weeks prior to the incident. His hands trembled as he unwrapped it. Carlos. His voice rang out, trembling with feeling. Carlos, you must take a look at this. Carlos, assisting the twins with their homework in the dining room, hurried over. What's going on? How are you doing? Amanda extended the document, saying, look. Roberto, my husband, had revised his life insurance policy right before the accident. He kept it to himself. Carlos picked up the papers and started to read, his eyes growing wide with astonishment as he absorbed the figures. Amanda, this is quite a significant amount. Beyond measure, she whispered, tears cascading down her cheeks. Roberto consistently put our needs ahead of his own. He must have felt an inkling of something amiss. Miguel and Gabriel, drawn by the noise, turned their gaze toward the study door. Mother? Gabriel inquired with a hint of worry. Do you feel a sense of sorrow? Amanda spread her arms wide, and the twins dashed forward to embrace her. No, my dear ones, those are tears of appreciation. A remarkable gift was left to us by your father. With this, Carlos said, still reviewing the documents, you could buy a new house, ensure the children's education, and pay for Letitia's treatment. Amanda interjected with conviction. Carlos glanced upward, taken aback. Amanda, I can't accept. It's not an offer, Carlos, she replied, her smile unwavering and resolute. It's a choice. Roberto shielded us. It is now our responsibility to safeguard those who have supported us. The twins, while not entirely grasping the circumstances, sensed the significance of the occasion. Will Grandma Letitia recover? Miguel inquired with a sense of optimism. We'll do everything we can, Amanda vowed, embracing her children more closely, for that is the essence of family. Carlos settled beside them, engulfed in a wave of feelings. Amanda, Don't even try, she said with a smile, grasping his hand. Have you truly accomplished so much for us? Allow us to take care of this for you, for Letitia. Just then, Letitia's nurse stepped into the room. Sir. Carlos, your mother is inquiring about everyone. He expresses his hunger and desires to share a meal with his family. The four shared a silent understanding, their eyes meeting in a conspiratorial smile. Let's go, Amanda said, rising with Carlos' assistance. We have some exciting news to announce. As they made their way to the dining room, Amanda held the envelope tightly against her chest. It was not merely Roberto's final expression of affection, but also a chance to reciprocate the generosity they had been given. At times, he pondered, fortunes arrive in the most surprising forms, akin to a protective spirit that remains vigilant over his loved ones, even in his absence. The private hospital stood majestically before them, its contemporary amenities gleaming in the early light. Letitia, perched in her wheelchair, grasped Amanda's hand tightly as they awaited the outcomes of the most recent tests. I can hardly fathom that we're actually here, Letitia whispered, observing the ebb and flow of medical professionals. This opportunity was something I never imagined I would encounter. Amanda smiled, recalling the oncologist's expression when they discussed Letitia's case. The recent experimental treatment, while costly, demonstrated encouraging outcomes in comparable situations. Roberto received his insurance compensation right when he needed it most. The results are promising, declared Dr. Mendoza, a seasoned professional with years of experience in handling similar cases. He stepped into the room, carrying a folder filled with exams. The response to the initial treatment exceeds our expectations, he remarked, a warm smile breaking through his typically composed demeanor. There is still a journey ahead, but I remain hopeful. Carlos, having lingered by the window, swiftly made his way over. That signifies we can move forward with the next stage of the treatment, the doctor affirmed. The cells are showing a favorable response to the therapy. Letitia pressed her hand to her mouth, stifling a sob. Amanda embraced her softly, as Carlos lowered himself before his mother, clasping her hands in his. Where have my grandchildren gone? Letitia inquired, seeking to capture the poignant moment. I could really use your lucky hugs before we dive in. In the hospital playroom, Amanda replied. I assured them they would have the chance to visit you following the consultation. Dr. Mendoza smiled, well acquainted with the intricacies of the family dynamics. Kids are the best remedy, he remarked. The backing of family is essential in this kind of treatment. As the doctor elaborated on the specifics of the upcoming procedure, Amanda observed Carlos and Leticia intently. She recalled the nights spent in the hospital, surrounded by her children and Carlos, who never left her side. At this moment, he was called to reciprocate that affection and commitment. Mother? The voices of Miguel and Gabriel resonated from the doorway. Dr. Mendoza gestured for them to come in. My tiny healers! Leticia exclaimed, her face illuminating with joy in an instant. The twins dashed toward her, each clutching a vibrant drawing. This was created for your swift recovery, Miguel articulated, revealing his masterpiece. And we illustrated the entire family, Gabriel interjected, gesturing towards the characters on his page. Leticia examined the drawings, her eyes glistening with emotion. In those moments, unity prevailed among all. She, Carlos, Amanda, and the twins, all intertwined in a circle of warmth beneath the radiant sun. They are flawless, he murmured, embracing the little ones. Exactly like our family. Amanda and Carlos shared a glance brimming with feeling. Amidst the challenges, they discovered a treasure of great value. A family bound by choice, unwavering in their support for one another, free from conditions. Good, Dr. Mendoza remarked, as he closed his folder with a decisive motion. Are we ready to start? Carlos's office had undergone a quiet transformation in recent months. Beside the stark corporate documents rested vibrant drawings created by the twins, along with a family photo captured in the garden during Leticia's most recent birthday celebration. Could you spare a moment? Amanda's voice caught him off guard during the contract review. She stood at the door, clutching a folder. Of course, come in, Carlos replied, observing Amanda's growing confidence with each passing day. The rehabilitation process proved to be entirely successful. I've been pondering, she started, settling into her chair at the desk. Prior to the incident, I was engaged in managing social projects. I noticed that your company has a foundation, yet it seems to lack significant activity. Carlos nodded, recalling the project he had embarked on years prior, one that he had never found the time to fully cultivate. Amanda pressed on, I want to assist. I could organize assistance initiatives for families facing circumstances akin to our own. A multitude of children are yearning for an opportunity. Amanda, Carlos interjected gently. There's no requirement for you to engage in work. It's not just about the money, she asserted with conviction. It's about returning a portion of what we have been given. Besides, she said with a smile, I'm going a bit stir-crazy at home now that the kids are in school and Leticia is feeling better. Carlos watched her intently. Time had reshaped the delicate woman in the hospital into a figure of strength and resolve. His presence infused his home with joy and offered a fresh outlook on life. The foundation belongs to you, he concluded. You will have the full autonomy to create the programs you deem essential. Amanda's eyes gleamed with enthusiasm. Is that so? My mind is brimming with countless ideas. A support program for single mothers could be an excellent starting point. And perhaps, he paused as he noticed Carlos was smiling. That. I adore witnessing you in this state, he confessed, brimming with enthusiasm and overflowing with ideas. A gentle flush adorned Amanda's cheeks. The stillness that ensued was thick with unspoken thoughts, with emotions that had blossomed organically between them. Carlos. She finally murmured. At times, I find myself contemplating whether Roberto orchestrated everything, almost as if he anticipated our need for assistance and ensured your presence. Do you think fate plays a role in our lives? He inquired, positioning himself on the edge of his desk, drawing nearer to her. I have faith in those who opt for the path of righteousness, Amanda replied, her tone gentle yet assured. Just like you on that evening in the parking lot. As their gazes locked, an unspoken understanding passed between them, a realization that their lives had been forever altered, not merely by the events that had united them, but by the choices they had each embraced throughout their journey. The gathering around the dinner table had transformed into a cherished tradition. That evening, as Letitia assisted the twins in arranging the table, Carlos and Amanda collaborated in the kitchen, their movements a quiet choreography that reflected the deep bond forged through shared experiences. "Do you recall that first night the kids arrived?" Amanda inquired as she chopped the vegetables. "Were they truly that frightened?" Carlos grinned, gently mixing the sauce he was crafting. "And now they essentially govern the household." "So much has changed," Amanda mused, her voice gentle. "At times, I find myself pondering whether a jubilant exclamation from the dining room broke through his contemplation. Miguel successfully crafted a napkin into the elegant form of a swan, adhering to Letitia's guidance. "Mom, Carlos, you have to come and see this," Gabriel exclaimed with enthusiasm. As they neared the dining room, the sight that greeted them left them utterly speechless. Letitia, now moving with greater ease due to the treatment, had been sharing her passion for table decoration with the children she adored. "It's stunning, my dear," Amanda exclaimed, gazing at her son's creation with admiration. Carlos observed Amanda as she bent down to embrace Miguel. The soft glow of the evening light streaming through the window wrapped around her like a warm embrace, and for a fleeting instant, time seemed to stand still as her heart skipped a beat. "Is it possible for us to dine in the garden?" Gabriel proposed. "The evening is quite lovely." "That's a brilliant idea," Letitia concurred, sharing a meaningful glance with the children. As dinner transitioned to the garden, Carlos observed the twins had adorned the bushes with tiny lights, crafting an enchanting ambience. "Was this part of your plan?" he murmured to his mother, ensuring the children remained oblivious. Letitia wore a cryptic smile. "Perhaps. At times, the younger generation can inspire the older ones to take that extra step." The evening unfolded amidst laughter and engaging conversations, with the meal serving as a delightful pretext for gathering together. As the children dashed off to frolic in the garden post-dessert, Letitia politely withdrew to rest, though it was clear to all that she would remain a silent observer from the window. In that moment, Carlos and Amanda found themselves in solitude beneath the shimmering stars. "Amanda," Carlos started, his voice quivering just a bit. "These months have been—" "I know," she interrupted gently, her eyes glimmering in the garden lights. "I sense it as well." "I don't want to impose," he continued. "I understand you've faced many challenges, and the children—" "The children adore you," Amanda remarked, moving a bit nearer. "And I," the silence that ensued, was brimming with promise, with endless possibilities. Carlos extended his hand, softly brushing against Amanda's cheek. "I'm not aiming to take Roberto's place," he murmured. "I understand," she said, placing her hand gently on his. "He would wish for our happiness, for each and every one of us." The sound of the twins' laughter filled the garden, while Carlos gradually leaned in closer to Amanda. Their lips brushed together in a gentle kiss, imbued with warmth and the unspoken hopes of what lay ahead. Under Amanda's leadership, the foundation blossomed into a vibrant entity. The once utilitarian conference room had transformed into a sanctuary for families in distress, where the joyous sounds of children's laughter now resonated through hallways that had once been silent, save for the sterile hum of corporate dialogue. "Are you prepared?" Carlos inquired, peering into Amanda's office. On that Friday afternoon, a unique rendezvous awaited them with the twins. Amanda beamed as she tucked away the final set of papers. "Nearly. Do you believe they have any suspicions?" "Not in the slightest. Letitia has them utterly captivated with her delightful cookie-making endeavor." The journey in the car was subdued, with Amanda anxiously clutching a folder in her lap. Upon their return, the sweet scent of vanilla and chocolate enveloped the space, harmonizing with the joyful sounds of children's laughter and Letitia's bright, cheerful tone. "They have arrived," Miguel shouted, his face dusted with flour. "Perfect timing to sample our creations," Gabriel remarked, beaming as he presented a tray of cookies. Prior to the cookies, Carlos cut in. "There's a significant matter we need to discuss with you." The twins shared inquisitive looks while seated in the living room. Letitia settled into her cherished spot, a knowing smile gracing her lips. "Miguel, Gabriel." Amanda started, flipping open the folder. "Carlos and I have been reflecting deeply on our family, considering how much we have evolved together over the past year. We have something significant to discuss with you," Carlos said, gently holding Amanda's hand. "Will you be tying the knot?" Gabriel inquired straightforwardly, prompting laughter from the group. "Indeed, that as well," Carlos conceded. "However, there is an additional matter." He retrieved some papers from the folder. "These documents are unique. If you concur, it would signify that, in the eyes of the law, we would be recognized as a family. I would take on the role of her father, rather than merely being her mom's boyfriend." The twins gazed at the adoption papers, their eyes wide with curiosity. "Does that mean we can call you Dad?" Miguel inquired, his voice soft yet filled with anticipation. "Only if you want," Carlos replied, his voice quivering just a bit. "I have no intention of taking your father's place. He will forever remain within you, and we shall continuously pay tribute to him." "Will grandmother Letitia still be our grandmother?" Gabriel remarked. "Absolutely, my dear," Letitia replied, opening her arms wide for the children. The twins exchanged a glance, their unspoken connection evident, before they both leaped into Carlos's embrace at the same time. "Absolutely, we desire it," they cried out together. Amanda observed the scene, tears welling in her eyes as memories of that fateful night in the parking lot flooded back, a moment that had irrevocably altered their lives. In the depths of despair, they managed to navigate towards the light. "Well," Letitia remarked, subtly dabbing at a tear, "I believe this calls for something beyond just cookies. Shall we indulge in some pizza tonight?" "Pizza!" the twins exclaimed, leaping with joy. As Carlos dialed the pizzeria, the children assisted Letitia in storing the cookies for dessert, and Amanda made her way to the window. The garden, a tapestry of cherished memories, now glimmered in the evening light, embodying the hope of joyful days ahead. Life, he mused, possessed a peculiar talent for intertwining its narratives. Often, the most joyful conclusions arise from the most challenging beginnings. At times, the most exquisite family is the one that the heart decides to create. The residence shimmered with festive lights, and the scent of fresh pine intertwined with the delightful fragrance of cookies just out of the oven. It marked the inaugural Christmas they embraced as a recognized family, occurring merely a month after the heartfelt wedding that had formally bound together what love had already solidified. Letitia, nearly fully healed due to the innovative treatment, oversaw the proceedings from her seat beside the tree, managing the decoration with the discerning gaze of someone who has orchestrated countless family gatherings. "Just a bit more to the left, Miguel," he directed, as the boy made adjustments to the ornament. "Excellent." Gabriel, in his own way, was assisting Amanda in draping the Christmas stockings above the fireplace. Now, there were 5, each one meticulously embroidered with their names. Carlos, Amanda, Miguel, Gabriel, and Letitia. "Do you believe that Dad Roberto appreciates our decorating style?" Gabriel inquired softly of his mother. Amanda embraced her son, her gaze fixed on the photograph of Roberto that held a cherished spot on the shelf. "I have no doubt he's smiling down on us, my dear. His greatest desire was for our happiness." Carlos stepped into the room, balancing a tray filled with steaming hot chocolate. "Who's in for some extra marshmallows?" he called out, prompting the twins to dash toward him without hesitation. Me," they shouted together, as Letitia chuckled from her chair. Prior to the chocolate, Amanda interjected. "How about we read the letter to Dad Roberto?" As was tradition each Christmas, the children gathered around the tree, their expressions serious and contemplative. They had begun this tradition the previous year. Compose a letter to Roberto detailing all the significant happenings of the year. Dear Dad, Miguel started, lifting the paper they had crafted together. This year has been truly remarkable. Mom and Carlos tied the knot, and now we are officially a large family. Grandma Leticia is feeling much better, and she attributes it to our enchanting hugs. Gabriel pressed on. The foundation established by Mama and Carlos provides support to numerous children experiencing sadness, reminiscent of our own past struggles. And you won't believe it, we emerged victorious in the school science contest. Carlos contributed to the project, yet the concepts originated from us. Amanda and Carlos intertwined their fingers, captivated by the sound of children reading, their wedding bands glimmering beneath the twinkling tree lights. Leticia quietly brushed away a tear. And above all, Miguel concluded, we want you to express our happiness. Carlos is a wonderful dad, just like you, and Mom is always smiling now. We love you dearly, Gabriel added, and even though our family has grown, you will forever be our celestial father. As they concluded their reading, a comforting hush enveloped the room, interrupted solely by the gentle crackling of the fire in the hearth. Outside, the initial snowflakes of the season were starting to descend. Well, Leticia finally said, how about we enjoy some hot chocolate while Carlos shares the tale of how he discovered two little angels in a parking lot. The twins settled in with eager anticipation, despite having heard the story countless times before. It was his favorite, the tale of how a single act of kindness turned despair into optimism, and how affection forged connections between sorrow and joy. If this tale of love, kindness, and life's miracles resonated with you, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that inspire and touch the soul. Turn on the notifications so you stay updated. Which country are you tuning in from to enjoy this captivating tale? Share your thoughts in the comments to discover how this tale of love, hope, and miracles is resonating across the globe.